And hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for another wonderful sit down with Follow the Money Investor Group. I'm Mark Johnston, and today we have the great pleasure of welcoming Christopher Reynolds, who's director at Opawica. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Thank you very much, Mark. Glad to be here.
Great opportunity for us to hear from inside the company what's happening these days. Can we do a general overview of your role and specifically the operations of the company to give everyone a bit of a locator before we get going here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Opawica Explorations is a company that's focused on structurally controlled gold projects in Eastern Canada. So we've got a great portfolio in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt in the Roy-Noranda camp. So Abitibi Greenstone Belt is one of the best places to have a exploration project that's looking for gold or copper. It's historically produced 180 million ounces of gold. And in the area that we're looking for gold, it's produced 19 million ounces of gold. You know, the big mine there was the Horn mine. It produced 11.3 million ounces of gold. And we're right in that vicinity, controlling a good stretch of the major breaks there. And I got into this business considerable time ago. My father brought me into this business as I watched him develop the Curragh deposit in Northern Ireland. And
wow.
It was a mesothermal gold project, and started to understand a little bit about the value-driven business model, which is the exploration business. So we're going out there and we're looking to add value to these projects and define an ore body.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate the nod to Northern Ireland because we spoke previous to the recording here about my hat, which of course is a nod to my lineage of Northern Ireland. So I appreciate that very much. I want to ask Chris, you talk about operations. I know we mentioned in other conversations about Newfoundland, but Ontario as a jurisdiction, we're always curious about what it's like to have an operation in a certain jurisdiction. Can you tell me a little bit about the beauty and the advantage of being in the Ontario region specifically for that project?
Well, it's really great because, geologically, it's endowed. Ontario and Quebec. The Abitibi Greenstone Belt is geologically endowed, and the governments, specifically in Quebec, they really try to subsidize the industry through labor funds and giving as much leniency for these companies because they know that the cost of capital can be high sometimes, and it's very competitive. So, you know, it's a great jurisdiction to be operating. Compared to any other place in the world. And I've traveled to Africa, South America, Australia, looking at different projects. And it's a safe place to invest your money if you're looking for, if you want to take a swing at looking for a project that could turn into something.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. Always behind a great brand is a great team as well. Can we talk a little bit about some of the players that you have behind the scenes of the company and how that's helping move the company forward?
Absolutely. So Philippe speaks French. He's a director of our company and has history in the area. And he was instrumental in our ability to acquire one of the projects that we're really excited about, the Arrowhead, which is surrounded by Agnico Eagle. Sandra Wong is our CFO, who's worked with many different TSX listed companies and actually has a history in Opawica. Owen King, he was a broker at Mackey Research and has a deep industry network and has helped tremendously for us in actually our corporate development work with some of these majors. Blake Morgan, the CEO of the company, worked with various different majors on the inside in operations, in mine sites across Australia. And he's got a pretty good understanding of what these companies are looking for with respect to governance, structure, assets and blue sky potential for those assets in the sense of, what they would want to acquire. Because we know, the mining companies, they rely on the exploration business, because if you have a mine that's got a 10-year life of mine, after those 10 years, you don't have a business anymore. So you're always looking for a good price value entry point for a project that they could see that they could turn into an operation for them. So that's the team, and
a team of rock stars behind the brand, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, good stuff. Well, it's a great opportunity at this point, Chris, for our audience, because we're moving in now, obviously, into quarter three. Look back at the year 2021. these moments are a great opportunity to feel like a bit of a fly on the wall in the company boardroom. What are the exciting moments? What are the highlights that's being talked about inside the boardroom right now at the company?
Well, we just closed the financing of $5.3 million, and we got a really good endorsement from Eric Sprott, and he's a very smart man who, developed the Fosterville gold mine in Victoria. And we got Goldspot involved with us as well to help define our targets, and they did a really good job with Newfound Gold, helping their drilling and their target definition, and also more recently in January with Monarch in Val-d'Or developing their Beaufort mine, and they intercepted some pretty good grades there. So what we're doing right now is we really want to understand more of the subsurface expression of mineralization on both our Bazooka and our Arrowhead properties.
Okay.
In order to drill something that would substantiate what we know in geometry, and then present that to majors and the investor community to show something that we have. Because Yamana just bought the Wasamac deposit next to us from Monarch in January for $200 million, and are increasing their land package by acquiring Globex, or not acquiring Globex, but they're acquiring land from Globex to the west. We're to the southeast, with some great mineralization of 7 grams per ton over 20 meters and 6 grams per ton over 77 grams. So, we know that there's this system or structure that pinches and swells, and we want to develop that. And that's on the Bazooka property. So we're going to be doing 5,000 meters of drilling on that property. We're going to be doing 5,000 meters of drilling on the Arrowhead property. The Arrowhead property is exciting because it's surrounded by Agnico Eagle. There's a vein that we've traced on surface that goes 150 meters. It's channel sampled 90 grams per ton over a meter. This vein has a shaft sunk 160 meters with driftings at 3 different levels, 50, 100, and 150 meters. So there's historical production. Agnico surrounds us. There's grades, there's veining, there's gold. And we're working with Goldspot to define strong targets to get the Hollywood hole that we're looking for.
Love that. Great term. And let's touch on Goldspot for a moment more here, Chris, because that's a really interesting company with a track record that's quite positive. And so this service agreement does a lot for the company, I understand. And also love to hear your thoughts about their smart target approach and what that does for the company.
Well, I've known Denny Laviolette for some time, and he runs a really tight ship. He's a very smart geologist in and of himself. He knows how to define the geophysical and geochemical anomalies that might represent a strong target if you're looking for a specific type of ore deposit model in various different models. But mines, are funny in that no mine is the same and the geometry is different, even if you're looking for the same type of deposit model. Right. So it's important to be able to cross-reference different variables that apply to your project as it relates to the ore deposit model you're looking for, in something that might have historical production that looks like what you have. So being able to apply different data points into a neural network, it's innovative. I think it's something that takes the risk off of the table, in the sense of trying to take as much risk off the table as you can, so it's a way for us to define a target that has cross references to something that this may have, or our project, if it looks like the Horn mine, for example, what are the variables that went into finding that Horn mine? Let's apply those variables to our project and come up with a target based on the information that we have. So I like it.
Good to hear this. Good. A bit more details always helps our audience as well. And you mentioned earlier about Eric Sprott being the lead order with a private placement over 5 million. Can you tell me a bit here, Chris, about the financial clout at the company based on that activity and just generally the capital structure, how things are at the company right now, how you're positioned and how that poises you for next moves?
I think we're a really great price value entry point relative to our peers and the active explorers in the region. We're trading at a $16 million market cap. There's 37 million shares outstanding, 48 million fully diluted. And we've got cash in the bank. So we're going to be spending the money on doing real work on our projects to add value. And then hopefully do a bigger financing at, north of $1.
Appreciate that. I'm hearing strong financial situation for the company and also great alliances with service agreements. It's all about teaming up with the right companies and moving forward with it with that much more strength. How about some key timeline moments for us, Chris? If you're looking ahead as an investor, where is Opawica now? And look maybe forward to the remainder of 2021 and say even about a 12-month window up from here. What are the key moments that we should be looking for with the company as we watch your progress?
Like I said, I think that the real event that's going to drive not just the market, but the value in the company intrinsically will be having a successful drill result on our projects in Ontario, in Quebec, in the Rouyn-Noranda camp. I think that once we get our data compilation done and our drill targets defined, within a couple of months, we should be moving rigs onto the field and beginning our programs. We'd also like to do a little bit more grassroots work on our Newfoundland projects along the Valentine Break, as there's been a lot of attention there and a lot of retail buying in Newfoundland, because it's not as well understood as or explored as the Abitibi Greenstone Belt or the Cadillac Larder or Porcupine-Destor breaks, even though they are deep-seated structures there as well that represent something that could be as big as, say, the Horn Mine of 11 million ounces, So hopefully we'll be able to go out there and find some visible gold in some veins and take some videos and show everybody what we're doing, and plan on getting out there, I think in August, get a team mobilized to do perhaps some geophysics and maybe a small geochemistry grid. So you can anticipate that work being done, and you can anticipate our drilling to be started over the next couple months. And then we'll release those results as we get them.
Fair enough. So those are the next steps. I can't help but touch on this point you brought up earlier, Chris, about being exposed to the industry through your dad in Northern Ireland. And here you are working in the industry in this specific sector. What's it like in your role at the company when you go home at night? What gets you excited about working with Opawica and the potential?
Well, yeah, it's funny because I didn't really understand growing up in this business, or just even being exposed, what a value-driven business model was. Revenue-driven business models, right? If you're not, making money, you got to be making money. But when you can stake land and then you can find something, and the value of that land goes up tremendously because you're bought at 10 cents on the dollar, but you actually did the work to find something that nobody thought was there. It gets me excited. It's like treasure hunting. You know what I mean? So I like that. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets me up at night, being able to go anywhere in the same geological rock that produced, one of the biggest deposits on the planet, and being able to deduce mineralization and being able to deduce reasons why you should invest into this area, despite perhaps what the geological community says, because you come up with a thesis and then you do the work to prove out that thesis. And sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. If Mother Nature wants to dance with you, then she's dancing with you. If she doesn't, she doesn't. But you got to take the swing, and you got to take your step forward. So,
I love that. I love that. And, you touched on really the investor spirit at that point, Chris. We're all in this industry. We're watching the markets. We're watching favorite companies, and there are no guarantees. We all know that. If you're going to pull out your wallet and step into this market, there's no guarantees, but it is an industry, and in particular, this sector, full of potential. And I think that's where a lot of the magic is. So I love that you bring that passion.
Yeah, there's certain check marks there's certain boxes that you can check, like, jurisdiction, working in, like, say, like Nicaragua or another place that might have some high political risk, natural risk. You could find a good area that's in either a proximity to or has the same geological context as what you're looking for. And I think South Africa and the Witwatersrand has the highest historical production on the planet. You know what I mean? But the Abitibi Greenstone Belt has produced 180 million ounces of gold, and it's a pretty good jurisdiction to be investing your money. And we're set up, surrounded by majors, at a really good price value entry point at $15 million market cap with these projects. It could have potential to blow up fast. So. And Australia, the conglomerates in the Pilbara. It's another good place. These are good jurisdictions to invest your money if you're looking for gold.
It's a world full of potential at the very least, and certainly exciting. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
And it's also like, what's going to give you 10x on your money? You know what I mean? What's the new discovery? What's going to? It's and that's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? I'm looking for that new discovery, that new deposit that's all of a sudden you find, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of value in the ground on your project. And then you get acquired by a major, or you take it all the way to production and you change the governance around the business, and you build your advisory board, and you bring, so we're thinking about all of these things right now in the boardroom. Building our advisory board, what are we going to do to take this either to production or to an acquisition by one of the majors, and how are we going to manage those relationships? So it's a dynamic chess game, but we're very excited, and we're thrilled to get up on the field and to start this drilling, because I think it could be a real turning point for our business.
I appreciate that. One of my favorite lines so far in all of these interviews, Chris, was dancing with Mother Nature. I really appreciate that perspective. It's a beautiful.
She doesn't want to dance with you. It doesn't matter how much, you know what I mean? How much you try. You got to, deductive reasoning suggests why. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Great. I love that. Anything else for our audience that comes to mind to share that we haven't touched on, or that you feel we should talk about before we wrap up today?
I think that people should be aware that we're capitalized. I think that people should be aware that we have a tight structure. I think that people should be aware that we're a very competitive buy relative to the active explorers in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. That we have a great partnership with Goldspot, and a great partnership with other teams in the area, in order to not just acquire other projects if we need to be flexible and dynamic as a management team, but also to go in there and make good relationships with people that actually want to work with us, and to anticipate that drilling to begin, especially in on the Bazooka property and the Arrowhead property. We've also got the McWaters property just further east next to Yorbo, which I Am Gold has an option agreement with as well for $13 million. And I think it was in June, Granada Gold, who owns the Granada is next to McWaters. Granada Gold drilled 270 meters at 1.13 grams per ton. Are you joking me? That's tonnage right there. And and we're in a favorable macro environment for the price of gold. And that's how Yamana grew. They grew through the acquisition of gold ounces in the ground. They didn't do so much of the exploration side, but I think we're kind of seeing that now with Wasamac and the extension of that on the Globex side. So perhaps that we'll start discussions with them after discovery on the Bazooka property, and hopefully we'll be able to define some good mineralization over some good meters that's economic, and grow from there one step at a time.
Beautiful. Chris, I appreciate that's a very tight summary. It gives us a good overview where the company is. And as everything in this industry, a lot of it's cunning, strategy, timing, a little bit of luck, and lots of potential. So I really appreciate you sharing openly where the company is and what the potential is. So, well, thank you very much for being part of Follow the Money Investor Group. Our sit downs are one of our favorite moments to sit down with executives like yourself. So best of luck with the venture, and you can be sure that we'll be watching the company with you, and fingers crossed.
Mark, thank you very much for having me.
It's been a pleasure, Chris. All the best. We'll talk again soon.